This is page 240. This is a good page to try as much as you can on your own, and then use the video to check your answers. The video is also here to provide more instruction. Use it as much as you need. Number 1 reads, complete the table. Notice on the left, the column shows 5 to the first, 5 to the second, 5 to the third, 5 to the fifth. We don't know what this one is right here, but we could go figure it out. In fact, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 5s, so that's going to be 5 to the 4th power. So that's the first answer. The product is when we write the problem out. So it's just a pattern here. The first line, 5 to the first power means 1 5. 5 to the second power means 2 5s. 5 to the third power means 3 5s. And we're looking for 5 to the fifth power. That's going to be 5 5s. And now the simplified product is just the value. In other words, I almost would have preferred that they use the word value. Over here, we're going to find the value. The second line is really simple. 5 times 5 is 25. The third line is 5 times 5 is 25 times 5 again. That's 125. The fourth line is going to be 5 times 5 is 25 times 5 is 125. Now we have to do one more. Notice what we could do over here is on the simplified product, whatever our answer is, we could just multiply that by 5. So to get this one right here, we're going to do 125 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. It's 625. Oops. And the last one's going to be 5 times 5 is 5, times 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125, times 5 is 625, times 5 is... I need to do that one. It's right here. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 1 is 31. 31, 25, 3,125. Okay, good job. Let's move on. This middle set right here, I kind of want to compare the directions to the next two sets of problems here. This middle set right here says use an exponent to write each expression. We're actually not supposed to find the value. We're not supposed to solve this problem. We solve them when the directions look like this. Find the value of each power. That means solve. So on these problems, we're not going to solve. We're not going to get 6 times 6 is 36 times 6 is 216. Instead, what we're going to do is we're simply going to count. There are 3 factors of 6, so we're going to write 6 to the 3rd power. This is all we have to do when it says write each expression. Number 3, I'm just going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the exponent is 7. The base is 10. So it's 10 raised to the 7th power. Number 4, I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The exponent is 5. Remember that if the base is a fraction, we have to put it inside parentheses. The base here is going to be 7/9. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7/9 to the 8th power. It's a good thing we don't have to solve that one. That would be a pain to solve. It'd take forever. All right, let's move on. Now we get to solve these. Probably get a little whiteboard here. When it says find the value of each power, that means to solve. Some of these are going to be simple. Some will be harder. Number 6, I'll probably just move my whiteboard around. Number 6 means 8 times 8 is 64 times 8 again. So I'm going to do this mentally. This is going to be, actually I'm not going to do this mentally. This is going to be 64. I have another 8 to multiply by. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 6 is 48. Plus 3 is 51. The answer is 512. That's how all of these are going to go. So you're welcome to try them with or without the help of the video. 7 to the 4th power means 7 times 7 is 49. Times 7 times 7 is also 49. Do you see how I'm doing that? So now I'm going to do 49 times 49. I think that might be, I don't know if that's the better way to do it, but that's the way I like to do a lot of these. 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times 4 is 36. Plus 8 is 44. Put a 0 because I'm multiplying in the tens place. 4 times 9 is 36. 4 times 4 is 16. Plus 3 is 19. You get 1, 10, 10, 14, 2401. And I don't actually know for sure if that's right, so I'm going to check that on a calculator by typing in 7 times 7 is 49, times 7 is 343, times 7 is 2401. I was right. Be confident in yourself. All right, number 8. 10 to the third power means 10 times 10 times 10. And these are pretty simple. 10 times 10 is 100 times 10. When you multiply something by 10, it's just the same thing as annexing a 0 to the end, so it's going to be 1,000. I want to point out to you something about when you have the base of 10, the exponent here is going to be the same as the number of zeros. So 10 to the third power would be a 1 with 3 zeros. It's always the case. Number 9 looks complicated, but it's actually probably the simplest one we've done out of all these. 1/4 squared means 1/4 times 1/4. And that is simply 1 times 1 is 1 over 4 times 4 is 16. That's it. They look complicated, but they're really not that hard. Number 10 is very similar. It's going to be 1/3 times 1/3. But the exponent is 3, so it's going to be 1 more times 1/3. The numerator here is easy. 1 times 1 is 1 times 1 is 1. The denominator is 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. Could you just try number 11 mentally? It's going to be 6 times 6 over 7 times 7. 6 times 6 is 36. 7 times 7 is 49. 6 and 7 don't share a factor, which means those two numbers won't simplify. Show my work on a couple more problems, and then the end of the video will be kind of just rapid fire check your answers. So number 12, again, easier than it looks. 0.8 squared means 0.8 times 0.8. And 8 times 8 is 64. And I don't need to do the zeros because I won't get anything. And then I count over 1, 2 places. 1, 2 places. My decimal goes here. My answer is 0.64. And if you're not sure of that, or if you don't trust me, you can type in 0.8 times 0.8, and I get 0.64, 64 hundredths. Now, 13 might actually look easier because 5s are really easy to deal with, but it's actually probably slightly more complicated because the exponent is 3. If you haven't yet noticed yet, what really makes these problems easy or difficult is the size of the exponent. The smaller exponents mean you take that base and multiply it by less times. The bigger exponents means you have more work to do. So I've got 0 and 5/10 times itself 3 times. So what I'm going to do is ignore all my decimals and zeros, and I'm just going to do 5 times 5 is 25. Times 5 is 125. We actually could get that number from the top of the page. Now I'm going to count over 1, 2, 3 spots, and that's where I'm going to place my decimal. 1, 2, 3. It goes right here. The answer is 0 and 125 thousandths. Once again, if you're not sure about that, 0.5 times 0.5 times 0.5. It's 125 thousandths. All right, number 14 I think will be the last one where I show my work, and then we're just going to go through the rest of the video, rapid fire checking answers. This is going to be 1.1 times itself twice. It's just 1.1 times 1.1. So this problem looks like this. And what we could do is just do 11 times 11. If you look on a multiplication chart, or if you know your facts, 11 times 11 is 121. Now I'm going to count over 1, 2 spots. And you know what? I think is that right? What's 11? I might have gotten that one wrong. Nope, I didn't. Okay, good. Then we're going to move it over 2 slots. 1, 2, 1, 2. Goes right there. 1 and 21/100ths. All right, I'll do some verbal instruction on these, but mostly I'm not going to show my work because we're getting low on time on this video. I do want you to remember, though, that the zero property states that any number to the 0 power has a value of 1. That's the easiest problem on the page. 12 to the first power means 12 not times anything. That means there's 1/12. So the answer is 12. Any number to the 0 property has a value of 1. These two problems right here are the same thing. If you have something raised to the 0 power, the answer is 1. Easiest thing in the world. Number 18 means 13 times 13, which is 169. Number 19 means 2 times 2, which is 4, over 5 times 5, which is 25. Number 20 means 9/10 times itself. 9/10 times itself. 9 times 9 is 81. Count over 1, 2 spaces. 1, 2 spaces. Answer 0 and 81/100ths. So number 21 reads, how do you use an exponent to represent a number such as 16? Well, there's different ways to do this. In fact, there are several ways to get 16. One way to get 16 would be to write 4 squared. What is 4 squared? 4 squared means 4 times 4, which is 16. So that's one answer. There's actually a different answer. I'm going to use bullets to show you a different answer. We could do 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. What is this written as an exponent? That's going to be 2 to the 4th power. It's kind of interesting that those two numbers invert. So 4 squared is 16, and 2 to the 4th power is also 16. So there's two ways. That's a good enough answer for number 21. Okay, great job. You're done with this page.